Now we're going to look at an example for international trade when the world price is below the domestic price. So here we have our example of our domestic market. Here's our demand curve, our supply curve. We have our equilibrium price, which is the domestic price, and our equilibrium quantity, which is Q star. And we want to ask ourselves, what happens when now they introduce themselves to international trade? And as they do so, the world price is below the domestic price. Well, in this case, the producers have an option. They can produce and they can sell international at a low price, or they can sell domestically at a very high price. Well, of course, they want to sell at a higher price, so producers want to be at Q star. But now, because the world price is below domestic price, consumers are going to be able to drive what this market's going to do. So consumers can buy domestically, but to do so, they have to pay a higher price. Or they can buy a good produced internationally, at which point they pay a lower price. Now, there's no difference in these goods. These are homogeneous goods. And so as a result, consumers are trying to maximize their utility or trying to do the best they can. So it's the exact same good, is they're going to opt to choose to produce everything or to purchase everything from an international. And so this is now going to become the quantity demanded. Well, given that they're not going to pay for a higher price, this point here is our quantity supplied. And so now, as a result of this policy, the amount that's being demanded increases, the amount that's being supplied decreases. And so the question is, well, normally we call this a shortage. So where are these consumers getting all those goods? And they're getting those goods, which is this distance here, and those are going to be imports. They're going to get them from foreign firms. And so that's where imports come from. Now the question is this good or bad? Well, for the consumer standpoint, it's great because they can buy more goods at a much lower price. From a producer standpoint, well, it's not very good because they in fact produce less, and so this might actually cost domestic jobs, but it comes at the benefit of lower price. Now the question is, who's better off? Who's worse off? And so we can look at consumer and producer surplus. What we notice is producer surplus used to be this triangle right here, but no more. Right now it's the price of the world, and it's this small triangle right here. So producers are worse off as a result. But consumers are extremely better off because they capture this whole triangle right here. So not only do they capture this area that was a part of producer surplus, but now they capture this additional area that wasn't even part of the market when we were just on a domestic market. And this is the area we call the gains from trade. And so as a result of this international market, what we see is that total surplus increases. It used to be this triangle here, and now we get this additional triangle of the gains from trade. And that's being driven by the consumers being better off.